Welcome back to the Filipino FM channel, your home for Filipino football content. Today, we are continuing with the Perfect Player series, but this time we are creating two identical Perfect Wonder Kids. One of those Wonder Kids we're going to have starting in the Philippines, and the other Wonder Kid we're going to have starting in the English Premier Division with Manchester City. We're going to follow both of their careers and see which one develops better. So, beginning with our perfect Wonder Kid that is starting in the Philippines, we have named him Perfect Wonder Kid MM because they will be starting with Maharlika Manila, who is a professional soccer team in the Philippines Football League. Here are the overall statistics for our Perfect Wonder Kid. Our Wonder Kid is 15 years old with a professional personality, and pretty much they have fives or sevens in all of their technical attributes and mental attributes, with the sevens being attributes that are more towards what they need as a striker, which is where we have them starting. Finally, our physical attributes are our 12, so hopefully those physical attributes will also be able to develop to become a world-class player. Here's our second Wonder Kid. We have named him Perfect Wonder Kid MC because they are starting off in the Manchester City under 21s. I felt that'd be best for them to start in Manchester City since they have really good facilities, both youth and training. But also, Manchester City is currently fighting for the treble, so it seemed that this is kind of the best team in the world for them to be starting at to potentially help their development. They're also a striker with the exact same attributes, technically, mentally, physically, with the same personality, being a professional, being both footed, and being of the same age. As we can see here, both players are going to start with a current ability of 73 out of a potential ability of 200, which is the highest we can possibly have in the game. So we're going to see how each of these players develops and whether they'll be able to reach that 200 potential ability. Now, the biggest thing that we're going to see and potentially the differences in the development of each player is going to be the facilities versus playing first team football, but at a lower level. So, our perfect Wonder Kid starting off at Manchester City is going to be exposed to state of the art training facilities. So, theoretically, this should include better training, better coaching that should help our perfect Wonder Kid MC to develop quicker than our perfect Wonder Kid who is starting off in the Philippines. On the other hand, our perfect Wonder Kid starting off in the Philippines Football League is starting off with Maharlika Manila, who have poor coaching and poor training facilities. However, as we can see here, Perfect Wonder Kid is in the first team, which means they're going to be exposed to first team football, are going to start getting some first team ratings, and may develop quicker than our Wonder Kids starting at Manchester City, since they'll already breaking into the first team. However, this development may not be sustained because they are in the Philippines for 3 seasons. We've given both the Perfect Wonder Kids 3-year contracts at their respective clubs. So will the Perfect Wonder Kid who is starting in the Philippines, they may develop earlier, quicker, but this development may stall over the 3-year period if they're not playing and getting coaching at a higher level. So over the course of this save, we're going to look at the comparison attributes here, which right now are absolutely identical from their attributes to their preferred footedness to their height, weight, and overall averages. So we're going to see whether one develops quicker than the other and whether both players are able to reach their 200 potential ability. To start off, I think we will go 1 year into the future to see how in 1 season how they've developed, and we'll catch up with you all then. Welcome back. We are 1 year into the future. And overall, one big difference that we're already seeing, and this may be down to the reputations of the clubs in the league, and we did see this last season, but I feel like it's really showing itself this season. Our Perfect Wonder Kid at Manchester City has a much higher transfer value than our Perfect Wonder Kid at Maharlika Manila, because they have a transfer value that could exceed £100 million versus the Perfect Wonder Kid in the Philippines who only has a few thousand. So overall, it seems like the Perfect Wonder Kid at Manchester City might already have a higher reputation, but we'll see how being at Manchester City has helped their development. And looking at the overall comparisons here, our perfect wonder kid on the left is the one in the Philippines, on the right is the one in England. And overall, it looks like our perfect wonder kid in England is already seeing some better development, which is interesting. So this is the overview, just looking at the overview here. It looks like it's more skewed to our perfect wonder kid at Manchester City. But looking at our attributes, I think we can already see some higher physical attributes, definitely a couple higher mental attributes, and some higher technical attributes towards the perfect wonder kid at Manchester City. So let's look at their current and potential abilities to see how they're getting along there. So using the in-game editor, we can see the perfect Wonder Kids current abilities, and our perfect Wonder Kids current abilities in the Philippines is currently 89. But our perfect Wonder Kid at Manchester City is already at 98. So they have developed almost 10 current ability points more than our perfect Wonder Kid in the Philippines. So this does suggest that training facilities are very important, and the level of training, especially at just 16 years old, is really important for their development. And looking at the perfect wonder kid at Manchester City statistics, they haven't made a first team appearance. They've only played U21 matches. Looks like they played 42 21 matches, scored 18 goals, and only had a 6.94 average rating. So despite that, it looks like the training facilities and the higher level of coaching may be helping our perfect wonder kid at Manchester City develop quicker. Looking at our perfect wonderkid in the Philippines, they've played a total of 17 matches and they've got 16 goals, 6 assists. Not a super high rating, but still a lot of appearances and some pretty decent stats for goals. But overall, they just haven't developed as well compared to our perfect wonder kid in England. And this suggests that maybe the lower level of facilities, the lower level of coaching, is not allowing them to develop as quickly despite breaking into the first team. At the end of year one, our perfect wonder kid in England has the advantage over our perfect wonder kid in the Philippines. So let's go forward 2 more years at the end of our perfect wonder kids contracts and let's see how they're doing. Welcome back. We're 3 years into the future in 2025 from the start of our save. And it looks like our perfect wonder kid from the Philippines will be moving away from the Philippines, and they are planning on joining Olympic Marseille. I think we actually had our previous perfect wonder kid go to Marseille. So that is interesting to see that happen again. But let's compare our two players and see how they're each doing. So here we have each of our Wonder Kids. In the green, we have our perfect Wonder Kids starting at Manchester City. In blue, we have our perfect Wonder Kids starting at Maharlika, Manila. Interestingly, our perfect Wonder Kid in Manchester City has also signed a new contract until 2029. So they are staying at Manchester City. And looking at their attributes here, it seems like staying at Manchester City might be good for them because they are developing much more than our perfect wonder kid who was in the Philippines. Much higher mental, aerial, technical, attacking, vision, speed, and physical attributes overall, with most of these going towards our perfect wonder kid starting in England. Looking at our attribute comparison, it is pretty clear that our perfect wonder kid in England has significantly better attributes than our perfect wonder kid starting in the Philippines. Almost every attribute, aside from just a few, is favored towards our perfect wonder kid starting in England. And overall, at least in the first 3 years of the save, it seems pretty clear that having better coaching and better training facilities is more important than breaking into a lower level of competition because our perfect wonder kid starting England looks much better than our perfect wonder kid starting in the Philippines. And as far as the career stats are concerned, our perfect wonder kid starting in England just in this past season made his first team debut for Manchester City, 9 appearances and 4 goals with a pretty good average rating. And it looks like they've made some cup competitions as well. So overall, they haven't even played as many games. as our Perfect Wonder Kid in season one did, but they're already seeing significant leaps in their development. And this is already reflected in their current ability with a whopping 137 current ability. For an 18-year-old, that's pretty high. And they've already got 20 caps and 21 goals for the Philippines, interestingly. So they're breaking into the Philippines national team. They're developing well at Manchester City. And overall, it does seem like they're doing better than our Perfect Wonder Kid in the Philippines. Looking at our Perfect Wonder Kid in the Philippines, they are over 20 current ability points behind our Perfect Wonder Kid who started in England. And remember, they did start at the same place, but they only have a 114 current ability right now. So clearly, even though they broke into the first team, and if we look at their career stats, they played pretty much every game for Maharlika Manila, having an amazing season last season. 20 goals, 11 assists, a 7.45 rating. But despite these high ratings, despite being in the first team, they just haven't developed as well. So clearly, having those better training facilities has helped our Perfect Wonder Kid starting in England much more. What will be interesting to see in the upcoming seasons is now that our Perfect Wonder Kid is moving to Olympique Marseille, whether or not playing at a higher level and having a higher level of facilities will allow them to catch up to our Perfect Wonder Kid in England. Olympique Marseille has superb training facilities, so they will be subjected to a higher standard of training facilities, a higher level of coaching, and we'll see if this helps to boost their development. Having seen how they've each developed respectively in the Philippines and England, I think it'll be best to go 5 years into the future. Well, we'll have seen each of them exposed to kind of European football, and we'll see how they're doing then. Welcome back. We are 5 years into the future. On the left side of our screen, we have our Perfect Wonder Kid who started off in the Philippines. On the right side of our screen, the Perfect Wonder Kid who started off at Manchester City. And I think it is pretty clear from our attributes here, the Perfect Wonder Kid at Manchester City is a much better player than our Perfect Wonder Kid who started off in the Philippines. All of the attributes are heavily favored towards our Perfect Wonder Kid in England. That being said, our Perfect Wonder Kid, who is from the Philippines, who is now at Olympique Marseille, still looks like a really good player. It just doesn't look like they're quite as world class as our Perfect Wonder Kid at Manchester City. And looking at our Perfect Wonder Kid at Man City, they have developed amazingly. 197 current ability. They have essentially fulfilled their potential ability. 197 is Messi levels. This is one of the best players in the world. Outstanding physical attributes, really good mental attributes, and everything they need to be a world-class striker. And as far as goals are concerned, this is definitely reflected in their Philippines caps with 63 international appearances and 69 Noise international goals. And looking at their career stats, they have broken into the Manchester City squad and have been playing absolutely brilliantly. Last season, averaging a 7.81 average rating in the league with 20 goals. Surely that was enough for City to win the English Premier Division. Looking at that real quick, wow, they only finished second. That's interesting in the previous season. But as far as past winners concerned, wow, that's one, two, three, four, six Premier League titles in a row. So clearly the Perfect Wonder Kid is starting to rack up the trophies. Looking at our Perfect Wonder Kid, who started off in the Philippines, now playing in France with Olympique Marseille, they clearly aren't doing as well. Lower average rating across the board. They are scoring a lot of goals, having especially broke into Olympique Marseille the past two seasons, but the average ratings and the statistics clearly aren't as good as our perfect player who started in England. That being said, looking at their current ability, 164 current ability is really good. It's certainly nothing to be ashamed of, but this is still 33 current ability points behind our perfect wonder kid who started off in England. So clearly, starting off in England, going from really high training facilities, a really high level of coaching into that really high level of play just gave our perfect wonder kid in England a bigger boost to start off their career. So with that, I think we're going to go to their peak of their career. Let's go to about when they're 30 years of age. They should be at their highest levels of current ability. And we're going to see if our perfect wonder kid starting at Maharlika Manila has caught up to our perfect wonder kid who started off at Manchester City. Big news, our perfect wonder kid who started off at Maharlika Manila moved from Olympique Marseille to Chelsea. So now both players are playing in the same division. Granted, our perfect wonder kid who started off at Manchester City is making more than double the amount of salary than our other player is. That being said, looking at their attributes, they actually look very similar. So that's our overview. Looking at their attributes, maybe more favored towards our perfect wonder kid who started off at Manchester City, but certainly the mental attributes, our perfect wonder kid now at Chelsea, has certainly caught up there. So it'll be interesting to see both players' current abilities to see how even they are, because certainly in the attribute overlook, they look very even. Averages are pretty much the same across the board. Looking at our perfect wonder kid who started off in the Philippines, they moved to Chelsea in the previous two seasons and have done really well, scoring a lot of goals, having a really high average rating. And looking at their overview, 123 caps, 110 goals for the Philippines, and an overall 198 current ability. So they have pretty much gotten to their potential ability, 198 over 200. It looks like they must be pretty even, given that you can't have much higher than a 198 current ability. Looking at our perfect wonder kid who started off at Manchester City, 199 current ability, 198, 199. We're not going to split hairs here. They are pretty much even. And 112 caps, 105 goals. So, as far as both players are concerned, at this point, 30 years old, they are essentially even. After that quick comparison, I think it's best now to go to the end of their careers, see how they're doing there, and look at their careers as a whole to judge who might have had the better career. We are back. Both of our players have retired, or their perfect wonder kid here, who started off at Maharlika Manila, is going to retire in 2 days. So, just looking at his overall career stats, overall, some fantastic numbers, scoring 355 total goals, still playing really well at this point in his career. And looking at his biography, this is the interesting thing. Our perfect wonder kid who started off in the Philippines didn't win many trophies. A Europa Conference League with Chelsea and Community Shields, but never winning a Premier Division and never winning a league with Olympique Marseille either. So overall, they had a fantastic career, 123 appearances for the Philippines, 110 goals, and numerous individual awards. But interestingly, no league trophy, no Champions League for our perfect wonder kid who started off in the Philippines. On the flip side, our perfect wonder kid who started off at Manchester City, who will actually be retiring in a couple of days as well, also had a really fantastic career. As we can see here, some mind-blowing average ratings, 320 goals and 621 appearances. Overall, they had 112 caps and 105 goals for the Philippines. So this is still a really fantastic player. For whatever reason, I can't edit them to see what their current ability is. This is probably because they're about to retire. But looking at their biography, I would say overall a much better career than our perfect wonder kid who started off in the Philippines, as they won the English Premier Division numerous times, won the UEFA Champions League in 2026, as well as a few Caribou Cups, the English Community Shield, and a couple of FA Cups as well. I was curious to see, disappointingly, neither of our players won the Ballon d'Or during the course of the save. However, I think the perfect wonder kid who started off at Manchester City, that reflection of maybe having a little bit better career may have been reflected in them winning the World Player of the Year award a couple of times in 2033 and 2034. As far as a more direct comparison is concerned, our Footballer of the Year award for Asia, or Asian Footballer of the Year, in the beginning was pretty much exclusively won by our perfect wonder kid who started off at Manchester City. However, towards the end of the save, it was more often won by our perfect wonder kid who started off at Maharlika Manila, which I think was really interesting. Overall, though, it was won more times by our perfect wonder kid who started off at Manchester City. And the fact that he won it so many times earlier, I do think is reflective of that quicker development at the beginning of the save. So overall, I think we're going to call it there. I would say that our perfect wonder kid who started off at Manchester City had quicker and better development, even though our perfect wonder kid who started off in the Philippines did catch up by the end of the save. But the higher training facilities and the higher level coaching clearly gave our perfect wonder kid at Manchester City a better start. I hope you enjoyed this Football Manager 2023 experiment, and we'll be back with more videos soon. Bye.